Hi, welcome to a brand new video on the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. And experience, I mean my experience in this coercive persuasion program that I don't know what's up here, but all of a sudden Bigsby just popped up, and I didn't say hey Bixby, right? That's how it would activate, and I just said hey Bixby, and there we go now. No, it popped up, but I didn't say that in the beginning of this video. So as to why it would activate again, but this is cause they're hacked into my phone. So when I looked at my phone, it says Big B listening. Yeah, I know you're listening. You see, this is how they send a subliminal message, and I'm glad that it happened so I can explain exactly what it is that they do, because this is what they do. Okay. So anyway, so after my last video that I did, explaining how it is that they're engaged in the psychological warfare, psychological operation, coercive persuasion program against me, yesterday, which was January the 16th. Okay, so I came over by Pam a little early, right? And I got in the house and just relaxing. I was tired because I had got my Pam around around 7:30 in the morning. Okay, she had to be to work for 8 o'clock. She still wasn't ready. Okay, she ended up leaving about probably 10 to 8 to be to work for 8 o'clock. So she's always late. But anyway, so all morning, all right, I was being bombarded with noise campaign, police sirens, whoop whoop, drive by, whoop whoop, and that distinctive sound of the sirens is something that I've been conditioned to for many years. I would say from the beginning of my targeting, which is about not from the beginning of my targeting, but from the beginning of when I became aware of my targeting, which is about 16 years ago. And so I know that sound all too well. All right, so it was a combination of that, fire trucks, ambulances, helicopters. And so I reached for my phone to record the sounds, right? The minute I grab my phone, remember there's a lot of sirens going off, right? The minute I grab my phone, went into my phone, I have an app called Voice Recorder. The minute I hit the app and press record, all of the noise stopped. I mean, it literally stopped. Okay? So I was recording for about 15 minutes, and then I turned it off because I was on the phone talking to another TI, right? Then it started up again. Okay? And so then Pam called me while I was on the phone with her, which is probably about 5 minutes. That started with the sirens again, right? So when I stopped, when I got off the phone with her, and then I went to my phone again, into the app, the voice recorder app, go to record, the noise stopped. So they are actively surveilling me because they don't want, again, me to show the harassment, the noise harassment, the videos that I make to show the type of street psyops, right? Street psychological operation that they engage in and takes place and is taking place. They don't want me to show that. So apparently, I guess my video is catching some eyes. Apparently, from from what I see and how they are engaging now, being more careful in terms of me recording video or audio of the noise campaign, of the street theater. They are very, very careful now, right? Like this morning, I went to pick up my medication at the pharmacy, and they were actively engaged in the subliminal messaging. Okay, trying to do it in a very subtle way. Okay, and so this is what they do, right? The minute that and this is just my belief, right, that there may be other people looking into our claim as TIs, they will be a lot more careful. They will do things very, very subtle that only you alone might pick up on it. And I'm going to give you an example here, because even though they are trying, okay, to be as subtle as they can, right, and not be so blatant, and doing things to try to prevent me, and also doing things with my phone camera to prevent me from recording the faces of the individuals who are engaging in these psychological operations. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So again, I want to go over and talk about Coercive Persuasion Program, because it's something that again, it needs to be drilled into the minds of the TIs so that they have a clear understanding of what is happening to them. And that's just the psychological aspect of a broader program, which is non-consensual human experimentation, and the use of coercive mind control tactic as a means to discredit, to control, to destroy the target's life, okay, because they don't want the target talking about what is being done to them, okay, and they will use the psychiatric industry to further those discrediting campaigns. And that's not to say that we as TIs, that we're not psychologically harmed by this, because we are, okay, but they will never say, well, what we've done to these individuals have psychologically harmed them. All right, so they will just pass it on as, what, this person has a mental illness. They're either paranoid schizophrenic. Those are the diagnoses, right? And I'm not speaking for myself, so I don't know what kind of diagnosis other targeted individuals have, but I know for me, my brother, and a few targets that I've talked to have been diagnosed with those type of mental illness. Okay. All right. So again, coercive mind control tactics. Okay. Coercive psychological systems are behavioral change programs which use psychological force in a coercive way to cause the learning and adaptation of an ideology or designated set of belief, ideas, attitudes, or behaviors. The essential strategy used by the perpetrators of these programs is to systematically select, sequence, and coordinate many different types of coercive influence, anxiety, and stress-producing tactics over continuous periods of time. And this is true. My brother, who, when he's being attacked psychologically, always stressed out. He has issues with his heart because of it, so he's always in the ER because he has chest pains, difficulty breathing. Recently, I started having these chest pains right in the middle of my chest, and I have to go to my doctor and again explain to her what's going on. But I try not to go to the doctor too much because of the fact that this is what they do to TIs, and so we're constantly running to the doctor, constantly getting these bills, which we cannot afford to pay, especially those of us who are on disability. If you constantly going into the ER, your bills are going to pile up. Okay, and this is something that I have to talk to my brother about. But also, now I had an appointment, okay, with my doctor, particularly my neurologist, and it's been over a month and they haven't called me. Now, what I'm just doing, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to call me, and within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to go to see the neurologist and let him know that no one from the office called me about my appointment. Now, they have, except for maybe 2 times, they didn't call me about my appointment, but for the most part, they've always called me. And for those prior 2 instances that they didn't call me is when I was being targeted heavily, and for some reason, they did not want me to go to the doctor. Okay? For example, a couple of months ago when I went to see my neurologist, I was having difficulty sleeping. Okay, and when I went to see him and I sat down and he was talking to me, and the first thing he says to me, you have difficulty sleeping, right? And I was like, how did he know? But he knew I had difficulty sleeping. So I told him, I said, I've been having a lot of difficulty sleeping lately. And so he prescribed me melatonin, okay, because of that. Now, I do take the melatonin. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work, depending how much stress they have me under. When I'm under a lot of stress, it doesn't work. And I'm not going to go to him and ask for anything stronger because, again, this is a tactic that they do and they use to put you on stronger medication. That way, and a lot of those medications had adverse effect on your health. Okay. And so it is their way of trying to kill you, and do it in such a way that it looks like it's a naturally occurring thing. Okay, so this is what they do, right? So anyway, let me continue. All right. So in such a program, the subject is forced to adapt in a series of tiny invisible steps. Each tiny step is designed to be significantly small so the subject will not notice the change in themselves or identify the coercive nature of the processes being used. Okay, so I think this is where we TIs differ because we are able at some point to see the coercive programming taking place. Okay? The subjects of these tactics do not become aware of the hidden organizational purpose of the coercive psychological program until much later. And this is what happened to us, as I said. So much later we become aware of it. Alright? Some never. Okay, so they said until much later, or I'm sorry, if ever. Okay. If ever. These tactics are usually applied in a group setting by well-intentional but deceived friends and allies of the victim. Now, let me stop here. Now, we as TIs, we know our family is involved in our targeting, okay? And so when we confront them, or if you confront your family member, they will deny it. Why they are denying it is because they at some point realize that what they have engaged in is basically illegal, immoral, and unconstitutional. And it's a violation against your human rights and your sovereignty. So they will deny because they don't want to be held accountable. That's why they'll deny it. Okay? Or they're afraid that it's going to be done to them or their children, so they'll deny it. Okay? Okay, it keeps the victim from putting up the ego defense we normally maintain in known adversarial situation. The coercive psychological influence of these programs aim to overcome the individual's critical thinking ability and free will. Apart from any appeal to informed judgment, victims gradually lose their ability to make independent decisions and exercise informed consent. Their critical thinking defenses, cognitive processes, values, ideas, attitude, conduct, and ability to reason are undermined by a technological process rather than by a meaningful free choice, rationality, or the inherent merit or value of the idea or proposition being presented. How do they work? So I'm not going to read all this stuff because I've done it before, and you guys know the website you can go to, psychologicalharassment.com, and read up on it. And you'll see me reiterating this from time to time because it is important that we understand this. Okay, and I have to do this over and over because of the psychological damage they've done to my mind, because I have issues with memory, and in terms of particularly my short-term memory, which at times when I'm under heavily targeted, it's like almost non-existence, some of the time. Okay, so the tactics used to create undue psychological or social influence, often by means involving anxiety and stress, falls into the 7 main categories: increase suggestibility, establish control over a person's social environment, time, and resource of social support, prohibit disconfirming information, make the person reevaluate the most central aspect of his or her experience of self, create a sense of powerlessness, create strong aversive emotional arousal, intimidate the person, and that's tactic 7. Okay, so you guys gotta know this, all right? And I'm going to get into the next video I do. I want to talk about the technology being used. Okay, I do spend a lot of time talking about the psychological aspect of it, but recently, within the past year of the sonic attacks on the diplomats, and we now have another victim of this program involved in a fatal incident involving a rookie police officer, that I need to go into the technology so people can really understand what's being used, how it's being used, how they program you, and just make people more aware of what's going on. Okay, so now we'll get back to my regular thing that I do, which is the videos. Okay, so like I said yesterday, they've been very, very, that too. Yesterday with the bikes revving, driving by. It's all noise campaign, all the tactic that they use. Okay, it's one of the tactics that they use. Okay, so yesterday I was saying with the noise campaign and them being very careful in terms of not letting me record the noise campaign taking place with the police, the fire trucks, and the ambulances. So every time I reach for my phone to record the sounds outside, all the noise stops altogether at the very same time. Okay? So this is what's happening. Being surveilled inside, in your home, or wherever you're at. Okay? And they're making an adjustment on the fly because you're being surveilled. Alright? So anyway, left Pam apartment because like I said, they've been using her to target me lately, and I just don't want to be around her while they're targeting me this heavily because they use her. Okay, and it affects you. It affects you no matter how people may say, well, just ignore it. You can't just ignore it. If something has been conditioned into your psyche, you cannot ignore it. So I hate when people say, oh, just ignore these people, they're stupid. You can't ignore it. The only how you can ignore it is if you were not brainwashed. Is if someone did not break into your psychological state or your mind, right, and program your mind to these things, to these triggers and anchors. Okay, so that's what's happening here. So again, as I left, got in the car, and went for the car to warm up. See the guy in the red? Yeah, hold on, let me.
The guy that just walked past in the red jacket.
Okay, you'll see him right here on the left side.
The guy that just walked past in the red jacket. He sticks his tongue out at me. It's funny how today they been hitting me with noise campaign, and when I turned on my phone, I have this app called Voice Recorder, and when I go to my phone to turn it on, immediately the siren stops. Okay, and then Pam called me, and we were having a conversation for about 5 minutes or so. All while we're having a conversation, they started up the noise campaign, right? Then after we got off the phone, hit the record button, it stops. The noise stops. Okay? So this is what they're doing. All right? This is what they're doing now.
Okay. So I'm going to, you'll see me, skip past some of the stuff. I'm going to be driving off. And what I noticed when I was watching this video is that certain perpetrators on the street, right, whenever I get close to them as I'm driving, the camera will start to blur. Okay, will be out of focus. Okay? So for instance, let's skip past this here. Did I go too far? Let's see here. Okay, that's this person here. Okay. So for example, there's a person standing right here. Okay? And as I was approaching, driving by, person was staring at me, sticking their finger in their ear. Right? Now I'm thinking, okay, I got a good footage of this. Went back to review the footage, and look, it's all out of focus. But you can see the person's hand, right? They're wearing a hood, and you can see the person's hand, and they're basically. Let me put back the webcam. And again, I'm not trying to target anybody or trigger anybody. Just as an example. So you can see the hand. Okay, so they have a hoodie on, and basically taking their hand, this hand. Sorry. Right. Okay. Wait. What's that on? All right. Okay, so they're with the hoodie on, and they're doing this, right? Looking at me as I drive by. Okay, so again, I apologize if you were triggered by this. I'm not trying to trigger you, but because it's out of focus, I need to show. And you can see, this person. You can see it's a black person, and they have a hoodie on. They're wearing all black. Okay. And that's their hand. See the face right there, even though it's blurred out. But you see the hand, because you'll see the two brownish color hair. Right? That's their hand. And so that person was constantly sticking their hands in their ears, looking at me as I drove by. Okay? So, the camera, again, goes out of focus because of that, right? So now we see as I pass it, the camera is back in focus. So let me move on to the next video. And I think I'm going to start this morning. There's another video after that one, but I didn't view it all, so I already know. So anyway, so now this morning, the 17th, which is a Thursday of January, I'm on my way over by Pam, and I was at this stoplight here, and the stoplight is about 2 minutes because when I made the left turn to come onto this street, then as I approached the light, it changed, right? So you see this individual here standing up in the street next to this car. This is a gray car, and in front of it, you have the NYPD traffic vehicle right there. So I guess they couldn't use an NYPD police car, so they use the traffic car. And I've talked about how they do this sometimes. Whenever they can't use the NYPD police vehicles to target me, they'll use the NYPD traffic officers to target me, right? But there's no one in this vehicle, so I'm there for 2 minutes. Didn't even know this person was in this vehicle, and I hadn't started recording yet because I had parked on the next block over, right? So normally when I'm parked on my block, immediately if I'm driving off, I'll start the camera. But this morning I didn't. But it wasn't until the light changed, and as soon as the light changed, the person comes out of the vehicle. Now he was sitting in the vehicle, right, for 2 minutes now. The light changed, he comes out of the vehicle, right? And so at that point, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is See, I can recognize when these people are involved in my target and the things that they do, right? So he comes out of the vehicle. Now remember, you see everything is nice and clear. As I'm approaching him, watch the camera goes out of focus. Now, you see this dude right here? Why is he looking down when he's walking? But this is what they do too. They'll walk with their head down as they walking past me if I'm driving, and they walking past me on the sidewalk. They'll do this. Right? So all of a sudden now the camera goes out of focus because again they don't want this person's face to be recognized. And I'm going to show you this, at certain points in this video, right? Okay, so alright, let's just go here. Let's get past some of this. Okay, where is it? So at this point, let's see. All right. No, it's not. It's not here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, right here. Okay. So now. Again, I'm going to show you the tactics they employ. So now the camera again starts to become out of focus. Why? Because you see these two guys over here? See, as I approach, he turns and he looks at me, right? He's staring right in my direction. Okay? I don't think they recommend you meet people at AA meetings. And I'm going to show you again a masking technique that they use. So again, now this guy right here, you see he has on the light blue headphones on. And so he comes out so where I can see him, and he starts to look down at his shoes. Remember I talked about how whenever I'm walking by a civilian perp, they'll stare down at my shoes, right? Or sometimes they'll even stare down at their own shoes. So this is what he's doing right here. Okay? And again, everything is colored because, like for instance, I noticed that when I was wearing my gray boots, there was, almost every civilian perp staring at my boots, right? When I changed into my other boots, it's a different color, they weren't doing that until the next time I went outside. So now word is given that, okay, he changed his shoes, so now he's wearing the different shoes. So, because initially when they didn't know, it was not looking down at my feet at all. And then eventually, I guess during on the day, whatever instructions they were given, now then they started looking at my shoes again. Okay? There's something weird about that. I don't quite get it. I mean, when they do it to me, I do it to them also. Sometimes I look at my own shoes, sometimes I look back at their shoes.
For people doing AA, You know, like maybe you want to go to a place for other people who have quit
Okay.
drinking and
Now
someone
here again the perp. So now he moves back, right? This is all orchestrated now, street theater. And they're gonna mask it. Now as she's walking by, look at her. Look at where she's looking at. Looking at the garbage can. I guess another tactic that they'll do to me whenever they walk by on the sidewalk. If I'm walking towards them, if they are, next to the buildings, there are garbage cans, or sometimes they'll have garbage out on the sidewalk by the street because the garbage truck, the sanitation trucks are going to come and pick up those garbage. So she starts to look. She's staring at the garbage now. Okay, and there you'll see. I'll show you a good masking technique. Now she's walking and she's doing this again. Okay. Then this guy right here, he's covering his mouth. Okay. Now this is how they do it. Again, another masking technique that I'm gonna show you. So now he has what looks like he's eating something, right? Now, if you look at the video, he wasn't eating anything before until she starts to come walking by. Now he puts his hand to his mouth, but it wasn't as if he was, eating something. He didn't go like this. Okay, he went like this. Okay, again, trying to tell me to shut up. Okay. Okay, this is what he does. Alright, now he's looking at me. Then he puts his head back. Okay? So now, I'm going to show you how, again, this is orchestrated, because now you're going to see the use of the police now, right? Specifically in this case, is a sheriff vehicle. Okay? So, a continuation of the video. As you can see, he's looking at me. Okay. He's staring at me. Now, watch what's going to happen. So now, he's going to come out now. The guy with the light blue headphones, right? He's going to come out and he's going to start looking up at the window of the building, right? As he's doing this, you'll see a sheriff vehicle driving by. So if you look at the intersection, you'll also see a sheriff vehicle driving by. Now watch what happens when the sheriff vehicle passes by. Look at the timing of it, the synchronization of it. Then he goes back in. Do you guys see that? Do you see the synchronization? Let's go back. Okay? Let me pause it. Here's the sheriff vehicle. If you look at the intersection, here's the sheriff vehicle. Okay? Now watch. Again. Sheriff vehicle passes by and then goes back. Synchronization like clockwork. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. Right? This is the things that they do. This is the synchronization method, that they'll use, not just with like this, but in other ways too. For example, early on in my target, every time I exited out my building, there was a fire truck passing by with the sirens blazing. And at that time, I didn't know what's going on. Had I had known, I would have been recording on my phone. I mean, granted that back then the cameras on the phone wasn't the greatest, but I would have still been recording because I didn't know. So I'm doing these videos. So if you're new to being a target and you're watching my videos and you're going through synchronization, start recording. You'll get some footage, or if they know that you're going to be recording, they're not going to do it, and therefore it will be a relief on your mind from the noise campaign. Okay. Okay. Now, so let's move on as I. Let's go here. Let's go too fast, too far. All right. Let's wait for the light to change, and then we're gonna go over to the next block. Now, the last video I did, I showed how I went on to this next block with the vehicles parked on the right-hand side of the street with the number 32 in the license plate, and it was the bus with number 32. There's a number on the bus with the number 32. Right? And these were different. Now, today you're going to see two vehicles, and these two vehicles are different vehicles from the vehicles that I showed on the last video. Okay? Okay, now. Also, I want you to watch this guy here. Right? There's a lady here with a black jacket on. There's a guy walking in front of her. And you're going to see the palm, again, signaling with the palm facing towards me. And again, he's going to try to be slick about it. Okay? You'll see here he turns to act as if he's going to go into this building. See that? See, he's turning. See his hands? Right? If you look at his right hand, it looks like he's about to push the door open in this building. And if you look at his left hand now, you'll see he takes it out of his pocket. And he's going to flash his palm towards me. See that? Okay, let's go back slightly. Okay, watch. See that? He's going to flash his palm towards me. Then looks at his watch. Now, construction worker. Remember I talk about the hand signals? The hand behind the back? Or in this case, he has two hands. You know, with the police vehicle, I guess, you know, hey, freeze, hands behind your head. You know, that's the type of thing that they do. Okay? Now he starts to move here. Everything is coordinated. Okay? Everything is coordinated. Right? It's all street theater. Okay? Now, let's see. Leave that one. Okay, so now here again, another vehicle, right? Number 32. Another vehicle now. These vehicles are different from what I showed you on my last video. And they're all parked up on the right side of the street in which I'm driving on. Okay? And here is another vehicle here now, which is this SUV. Let's go back slightly. It's too far. Show you guys the number properly. Actually, I had adjusted the video so I can zoom up a little closer. Let's put it back to its original aspect ratio so you guys can see better. Okay, so now I'm going to have to scale it down. Okay. All right, and let's go. Shoot. Number 32. Right, the beginning letters, it's a little blurred, but you can still make out the number 32. So 3-2, and that looks like a 7. Okay. All right. So this is, again, this is what they do, how they do it, and you know, trying to show you guys the connection using the power of association, and also using dark NLP, brainwashing, conditioning the mind, implanting within the subconscious anchors and triggers in the negative, because it's dark NLP. So it's all negative behavior, negative associations, negative attributes. Just programming your mind negatively. Okay, in order so that you can fall into many traps that they will set for you to try to blackmail you into silence. All right, and when you're not silent, then they will go around spreading, negative propaganda, negative rumors to destroy your character, to destroy your life, to destroy your relationships. Okay, this is what they do.